Austin Rivers, the NBA versus the NFL. They're kind of like having a feud right now where like everyone is trying to argue whether an NBA player or NFL player could make that transition. And if so, Austin Rivers was like, I could name 30 players right now who could play in the NFL from the NBA. And you couldn't say the same about the NFL coming into the NBA. First of all, yeah, 53-man roster. Like, okay, of course you're going to have 30 more players eligible because the NBA has the smallest percentage of any league of players that make it.
Yeah. And who actually play. I mean, you have maybe 8 or 9 players that'll play at any given time. Also, just because you make the team does not mean that you play. And if I'm looking at NFL to NBA, I think there are plenty of NFL players that can go into the NBA. And as long as they have a jump shot, they will succeed in the NBA. Myles Garrett is a prime example. You want to talk about Defensive Player of the Year? If Myles Garrett is playing at center, who the hell is going to go in that paint?
Yeah.
Not me. I'm not going in that paint. And if you're looking at like CJ Stroud, if CJ Stroud has a jumper, he's going to succeed in the NFL. Hell, even if you want to talk about a slot receiver, they have a jump shot, they're going to make it in the NFL. Julian Edelman probably could have been just fine. And then obviously the great Tyreek Hill, with as fast as he is, if he has a jumper, he'll be good. Now, on the other side of it, NBA players going to the NFL. Can I see somebody like let's use Anthony Davis as an example. Big physical guy. Can I see Anthony Davis every single play going through a car crash, which is basically what they describe it as? No, I cannot.
He would get hurt.
He would get hurt.
He's already fragile in the NBA, which is a non-contact sport at this point.
It makes me think who in the NBA would succeed. And for me, if he had prime LeBron with how durable he was, he would probably succeed. There was rumor he was going to be a tight end for the Cowboys during the lockout. He would have done just fine. Anthony Edwards would probably be fine.
Yeah, he could be a good receiver line, safety.
But who do you think would succeed in the NFL?
In the NFL, I don't know. It's tough because like the NBA, you have to think of like who's the most durable, who's the toughest, and kind of like who has that no nonsense attitude where they're not going to be soft. So the two people that stand out the most in the NBA right now currently to me would be Jimmy Butler and Jalen Brunson.
Okay. Yeah, I would
say Jimmy Butler could be a really good tight end. He would be a good physical player. He'd be a really good edge rusher. And then Jalen Brunson, I think, would be a great slot receiver. Those are two players who grind, who work harder than anyone else in the room. And then with the NBA, it's like, well, if Hartenstein, Luke Cornett can make an impact in the playoffs, you're telling me TJ Watt and Myles Garrett can't? Two of the scariest people in the league. What about Micah Parsons?
Yeah, I feel like every edge rusher can play in the NBA as a big man. It's whether or not they have the hype, but either way, like those big physical guys, especially in physical basketball, I don't see how they don't succeed.
Yeah, and the dumbest part about Austin Rivers, and it's like he could have had an argument if he didn't have the most incredibly stupid take possible, was James Jones. I made more money than you. It's like, okay, what does that mean, really? And like, you're going back and forth with James Jones. James Jones, like, hell no. And then Austin Rivers, like, I made more money than you. It's like, okay, yeah, your daddy got you paid. Congrats.
Also, James Jones, that's the person that you're saying you made more money than? How about you compare yourself to like Gordon Hayward, or compare yourself to Josh Hart, or compare yourself to somebody?
No, maybe... James Jones, the Packers receiver.
Oh.
Yeah, no, James Jones and Austin Rivers were going back and forth because James Jones is on Speak, which was Speak for Yourself on Fox. And James Jones is like, no, you guys are pansies. You guys are too soft. You guys wear lace underwear. And Austin Rivers is like, well, I made more money in my career in 1 year than you did, when that really doesn't have any relevancy. It's like when Eminem or Kendrick is like, I have more streams than you. It's like, okay, well, how is that relevant to a rap battle? It's like having more streams, like, of course you're the biggest artist. Like, you can just punch down. And then if that's the argument, but like with Austin Rivers, like, I'm a role player. It's like, yeah, there's 53 players on an NFL roster, and the NBA goes from October all the way into June, where the NFL is just September to February, and they only have 17 games, and they have 53 people to pay as opposed to like 10.
Yeah. So it's ridiculous. But at the end of the day, I think that NFL players would succeed more in the NBA than vice versa, just based on the physicality. So let us know what you think in the comments section below.